Yeah, right in here. Broken U-joint. Cap. Tried to eject that cap. That bottom trunnion there, it's binding, sheared that right off. You guys see this? I got a dead cylinder. That guy right there. But just more carnage, and I gotta get this baby back together because we're heading out next weekend too. So let's get to wrenching. Yeah, I don't know, it might be too early to tell, but this stub looks all right. This is the passenger side. This one I just kind of wire brushed it so I could get a better feel for it, but it looks all right. The caps are still in there. So the inner shaft though, that got mangled up pretty good here. I don't know how well you can see it. It looked a lot worse. I had to beat this side down to get it to pull through my knuckle. And this ear's bent in a little bit this way. Not very exaggerated, but you can see it. So anyways, so we're gonna get another shaft in there. Be good enough with a used shaft. I guess I don't know if I'm fortunate or not here. My chromoly shaft, the outer held up. The Moog, obviously disposable U-joint. So we're gonna go with the Spicer now. Say, mostly out of embarrassment, I really wanted to make it up that hill, and so we'll see if she'll make it any further, if I could put some spicers in here that aren't greasable. So before this, I always ran greasable, and I'm not making an argument one's stronger than the other. I'm just making the argument when I barrel through mud hole after mud hole, it's a lot easier to throw some grease into it to flush all that water and mud out. So, you know, that's what I do. So if you look under here, there's no expensive parts on there other than just the raw steel itself. So these joints are 75 bucks a pair, so you know, add them up. But I mean, there's not significant dollars in this thing, so I've never been scared to just do the mud thing with it. So anyways, now we're just going up and up and up, and so we'll have to be more and more conscious of it as we go by, or as, you know, every mud hole comes in front of us. What are we gonna do about it? All right guys, checking in with the status report here. So I got her all apart other than popping the caps out, but it doesn't look like I'm cracked. We thought I maybe had a crack in one of these outers around the cap, and I think what it was just when this thing exploded, and it wouldn't have been this one because it was the one that had the cap missing. So it's this one. It looked like it was cracked right around here, but I think it was just grease spray from the cap ejecting, so it looks intact. Knowing me, I'm gonna run it, even though we can tell we got damage out here. This thing didn't break, but that did twist pretty good. GPS signal lost, whatever that means. Anyway, yeah, that twisted up pretty good. This guy here, not so bad, pretty straight yet. So anyways, these things will take some abuse, these chromolis. I like that. So as long as I can slam a U-joint in them, we should be good to go. I gotta get a long shaft for the passenger side here just because my ear got mangled. It didn't look that bad originally. And then I'm gonna get a passenger side for it. And this one got mangled too. Not terrible. If a guy was really concerned with saving money or something, he could probably beat that down and do something with it, right, Rado? A real mechanic, he'd fix that. But I'm not one of those, and I've got spare parts. So I've got this spare shaft here, unscathed. Look at that thing. Ready for service. So we're gonna put a new joint in this. We're gonna reuse our outer joint, get us a Spicer U-joint in here, and then since I'm not having any luck getting these parts of the two-piece seal off, axle seals again. But I've got a treat for you guys. Stick around. So I'm quickly assembling my pile of carnage. This is like the shaft that came with the axle. This is the shaft that came with the parts axle. This is one of the shafts that came with the original axle. Now I've got the parts axle in it, and I've got a parts truck on the way for an axle for this temporarily. And then we'll probably put an axle in said truck again, because it might be worth fixing, but we're gonna investigate. We're getting the truck regardless, and we're robbing the shaft out of it ASAP. So But so far, I did peel this off. I got 2 new seals in it. I assembled this side again. My outer was good. Used my spare parts inner. And so over here, I just gotta grab an inner. Somewhere here. There. Gonna reuse the outer. Again, it's looking alright, that I can tell. We're gonna get everything apart on it. And then in the meantime, I've got a trip in 2 weeks coming up in Kentucky, so this was a great time for this all to happen and for everything to be going on. Let me back away from the heater here. It's loud, I know. Anyway, so anyway, got a trip coming up to Kentucky, and it'll be like a week and a half now, so it's coming right up. And no, I'm sorry, 2.5 weeks. Either way, coming right up. So I'm glad all this happened, so that way I can get some new parts in it, look everything over. Yeah, that was the weak link. Took care of it. We'll see if these spicers are any better. And then also while I'm at it, gonna put a new manifold on this passenger side. So a while back I got sent out a set of headers by a company, Dynavox. I assume some Chinese company, just sending their crap over, and then they work with YouTubers up and coming, want to get their product out there. And so I put their stuff out there, and I thought it was going to work both ways. I was going to promote their product, they were going to promote my video. Video got like 100 views. Not very satisfied with that. In other developments, my header keeps leaking on this passenger side now. Going to go back to a manifold on that side, and we're probably going to switch the other side back eventually, but we're running one header, one manifold from here for a little while anyways, and taking care of this issue. So I'm going to get in there. We're going to go back to this outfit. Alright, never-ending developments, but I'm glad again they were in here. So this is where here is. Get you some light. So I got this baby popped off of here, and so it was rubbing on my frame right here. And you could blame bad motor mounts. I'm not saying these motor mounts are great or anything, but this is an HD frame, and these headers are meant for a regular Tahoe. So this should be up substantially more, I would think. Maybe not. Should be more room in here, I would think. Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. Someone correct me. But I would think there'd be more room in here. So that was kind of upsetting there. And then no fault of the header manufacturer, but my link was rubbing on it right here, and I really just didn't want to adjust my link. I did what I could. I cut it right here, opened it up, re-welded it so I could actually pull it away as far as I possibly could, but it wasn't enough. So that every time that link hit, I was flexing on this flange, I'm sure, so you can see I started leaking here. But the blessing part, do you guys see this? I got a dead cylinder. That guy right there. Number 4 is just throwing raw fuel out of it. So this is a good opportunity to do a compression test. So I got one of 2 things happening. I ain't got no ignition, or I ain't got no compression, because the fuel's all there. And I thought it maybe had a dead cylinder onto it, but it's hard to tell between the cam, the header rubbing on my link, the header rubbing on my frame. I mean, as soon as you put it in gear, and so anyways, but yeah, something's been up with it lately, so I'm happy that I found this. And anyways, so we're going to get this addressed right now. Let's do a compression test on it right here while I can get at the starter and just crank it over. A little moist. Alright, let's go old school with the screwdriver here. 180. Let's do a comparison on this guy right here. Alright, that was number 4. Double check here. Let's see what number 6 has got in store. That's good news. 180 on both. And this one's washed out, we know that. So I think we're in good shape. I got an ignition problem. I don't know if it's going to be primary or secondary, if I got a plug wire coil or wiring before that. But we're going to get this thing running on all 8. But in the meantime, I'm going to put a new manifold on here. New gasket, 100% new gasket, studs. We're going to reconnect all this. Probably going to throw in a new set of plugs, just because we're here. I'll put a new wire on number 4, because I'm cheap. And swap tronics with that coil. Alright, good news guys, running on all 8 again now. I ended up having to do a little swap tronics here, put another ignition coil on number 4 that I stole from race truck. And popped it on here. I figured out that I didn't have any spark, but I had a good power and ground right here at my ignition coil. I wasn't setting any kind of circuit code, so I figured I had a bad coil, and sure enough, it ended up being a bad coil. So got all my sparkulators replaced. I got the exhaust all hooked back up onto it now. And good news guys, she finally got her lope back. I thought this thing was just hurt for a while, and I was just going to run it until the end. And anyway, so fortunate find in there. So, because the whole while I had the 6-liter from Blackie just sitting right here. So I figured, hey, that 6-liter's looking more and more promising every day. But anyways, so now we got the 5.3 back going, full power. Got a plate on it these days too for my trip coming up to Kentucky, and so we can do some running around locally just between trailhead to trailhead and make things a lot easier without having to use the trailer. But you guys got to hear this lope. Oh man, it's nasty. So that is so much better now. So much better. But otherwise, so far, I've still got to get this passenger side axle shaft all done up here. And today's the day. So what we got to do is we got to take a shaft out of that truck. My new parts truck I was telling you about. O2 F250 7.3 dieseler per stroke. So truck runs and drives and everything. It's just gonna need some batteries, and I think it needs a starter bolt fixed onto it. But we're gonna rob this passenger shaft out of it quick and dirty so we can get back up and going. There she is, guys. Oh, mercy. Shit. Alright guys, did some learning today. I did. Maybe you guys didn't, but I sure did. So that parts truck, I pulled the shaft out. That's Dana 50 axle in there. And so I was always taught, or told, you can't say taught, that's bad. Told anyways that the diesels, even if it was a 250, had the 60 axle in it. So I didn't even look at the stupid thing. I just loaded it up with 4 flat tires, dinked around with all of that, pulled all that apart. Idiot, total idiot. So then I ran to pick apart. Guess what I did? Look for the first F350 I saw. Didn't look at the housing. Pulled the axle out. Dana 50. So I took a step back, and I look at the truck that was right next to me. I'm sorry I didn't video any of this. I was kind of frustrated. I look at the truck right next to me. Gas, F250. It's got a 60 in it. So I did manage to get the shaft that I needed. So thank goodness for that. I stole that outer, which just for a spare anyways, out of the other one I pulled out just because I was there, so whatever. And then I grabbed some other junk. But check this out. So I grabbed an ignition coil for this bad dog. Not really for this one, to replace the one on my race truck. I was just there, just worked out. And axle shaft, solid type. $20 for this and the outer half. I knocked the U-joint out of it. Another hilarious part. So I'm checking out, and I've got just the two halves of the shaft, and the kid behind the counter is just looking at it. What's this? Well, that's an axle shaft. Like a solid type? I'm like, whatever you want to call it, man. Like, it's an axle shaft. Have you never seen one of these? It's just crazy to me, you know. I just tried not to insult the guy at all, you know. Just, yeah, it looks solid, you know. I just played as dumb as he was, I guess, and play the part. But, you know, so I walked out of there with all my junk. They gave me some free stuff too. They didn't even charge me for. And the core charge on that axle, I think there was $5. $5 core charge there for that. Yeah, so whatever, no big deal. But you can tell, look at that fixture out there. So the 50 just tapers right down. Just, it's like a little pinky finger out here. So anyway, we're back in business. This is the Friday before Memorial Weekend. So it's already Memorial Weekend. I got to get this shaft stabbed in here. We got to be somewhere tomorrow. Hey guys, out here at base camp this morning. Gonna do some trail cleanup up around Indian River. We got some volunteers here. They were all camping this morning, so we got all the yays of the camping experience with fire and all that this morning without having to camp. But we're getting ready to head out now, see what the actual damage is, and try to clean some of it up. Big thanks to Discover 4x4 Adventures for hosting the trail cleanup that we got to be a part of. That was Saturday, a Memorial Day weekend, and got to meet a group of great people, have a great dinner when it's all said and done. It was a great experience. They said that they do a spring and a fall cleanup. So if anybody's interested, if you just want to go and check out Discover 4x4 Adventures, I'm sure they'd appreciate a help, and I think we'll be back to help them again in the fall. But anyways, again, just a great group of people, and got the Tahoe all up and running, and then got a little seat time on it there over the weekend to put some miles on, both on the road and on the trail, to make sure we had her fixed up. So got that taken care of too, and all set for the trip to Leatherwood. So thanks for watching. We'll check you guys on the next one.